Okay, at 7 o'clock by rising time. This evening is February 8th, town board meeting. We have no public hearings tonight, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. And Tim, could you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tim. Next thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the town board meeting for January 25th. Have a motion, please.
So, second.
Motion a second. Any corrections, comments, abstentions? All in favor? Aye. Privilege of the floor. Mike, welcome. Good evening. Talk to us about Market Center.
Good evening. Mike Montalto with Hostage Engineering is here this evening on behalf of our client Farmington Center LLC for the incentive zoning project at Market Center on Route 96. We were here approximately 2 years ago for the incentive zoning of this parcel. Since then, there have been a couple about 6 changes to the project, larger changes. I'll enumerate those and then go into any of the modifications from the incentives that were proposed or amenities that we're proposing. One of the things that's changed since the plan that was before the board before is that the signalized intersection and dedicated road that was originally planned for the eastern portion of the site is now being constructed on the adjacent property, Lefroy property for GLN Farmington Realty as part of that project. So the signalized intersection is not on our parcel anymore. That allowed for a reconfiguration of the frontage parcels. The Canandaigua National Bank out parcel that was proposed originally at the eastern side of the existing intersection to the plaza has been shifted to the far eastern portion of the property near the signalized intersection. There was a 4,600 approximately square foot restaurant building where the Canandaigua National Bank is now proposed. That was anticipated for the project. That restaurant use has been removed from the project. From a frontage project standpoint, there's now approximately 2,000 square foot specialty drive-through, which is where the Canandaigua National Bank property was further to the west. And then the Tops Fueling kiosk has shifted further east. So there's only 3 uses along, on the eastern portion of the site between the existing plaza entrance and the new signalized intersection on the adjoining property. Canandaigua National Bank with a more prominent location at that intersection. The 2-tenant drive-through at the western portion and the Mavis potential out parcel uses are consistent with the previous plan. There was a approximately 18,400 square foot mixed use office building that was set further south within the plaza. That has been removed from the plan. And there has been a provision for a 21,000 square foot addition to the plot, to the retail portion of the plaza, an 85 foot depth. There is an intent to subdivide the property to create those parcels. It's only from a financing standpoint. So with the construction loans for Canandaigua National Bank, Tops Fuel, kiosk, whatever, don't end up burdening one another. So there is a subdivision plan as part of the overall process that kicks into play. A couple of additional area variances from an incentive standpoint versus when it was a single parcel. However, still operates as a business center. There'd be reciprocal easement agreements, by and large, the incentives we're asking for are still consistent with what was brought before the board in 2020. They primarily relate to, instead of having to come in for individual use permits for each one of the automotive uses, the fuel kiosk, Mavis, any of the use permits would be tied to the incentive zoning. One of the other things that's happened as well is all the buildings along the Route 96 frontage have been moved back from Route 96. They're all at the 70 foot minimum. Canada National Bank is at 82. It's all been consistent with what happened on property to the east and the new Main Street overlay district regulations. The plan has allowed for the green space requirements, the landscaping, the street lighting, all that, which is now part of the new Main Street overlay district regulations. That's all been brought into the plan. That's also been removed from, quote, the amenity list, because those are now required activities. So the incentives that we're asking for are, still the same listing as before. Dimensional relief for some of the major thoroughfare overlay district regulations, which have been replaced, or I don't want to say replaced, but also now have the Main Street overlay district, which kind of supersedes those in this particular area. Relief from driveway clearances, internal to the lot, special use permit for the fuel kiosk, special permit use for Mavis Tire, special use permit for the 210 building. Again, so that instead of it being fractured, it would all be part of the incentive zoning portion. Instead of individual area variances potentially associated with the drive-throughs for the bank, those are all part of the incentives being requested. As far as amenities, the list has been modified. What now being proposed is there's a cap cost sharing in Mercier Boulevard extension. There is a cost sharing in Mercier Boulevard intersection signalization. There are off-site Main Street overlay district improvements in lighting besides what's happening on our site. Contribution to the Beaver Creek Sanitary Sewer Force Main project, Hortensia Road pedestrian signal improvements, and Hortensia Road off-site sidewalk improvements. We've been working with town staff relative to a schedule of delivery of how those things would be provided to the town and when. Most of the amenities would be all up front, so all the Route 96 improvements, sidewalks, landscaping, streetscape will all be done up front as part of the project. The anticipated first phase of this project would involve construction of Canada National Bank, the Tops Fuel Kiosk, and potentially the Mavis Tire. The 2-tenant drive-through, the specialty drive-through, and any plaza expansion. We still don't have any tenants online, but that's a brief overview of the project. I believe you've all seen it 2 years ago. We were, I believe, at a point where we were closing in on things, but the big stopper was the Route 96 improvements and the signalization cost in terms of our pro forma didn't really work. And I guess we're fortunate enough that Lefroy had enough momentum with their project that they were able to go ahead, with the signalized intersection improvement, DOT, moving that a little further east. We revised the plan to coordinate with their roadway improvements, and we're back before the town, hopefully eager to move forward with the incentive zone.
Thanks, Mike. Staff, any questions, comments?
The only thing I would add to what Mike said is this is a beginning stage of a process that right now looks as though it's going to be the end of April before any formal action by this board occurs. That should give the snow enough time to melt and the daffodils and tulips to come up. And then once the town board decides to, establish the criteria, then the planning board goes through the overall preliminary site plan, which Mike knows about, having done this on other projects here in town. And we look forward to finally making some improvements here to this plaza that has been a main focus point of the town for several years. Long overdue.
Thanks. Anything, or you're all set?
I'm good at this point.
All right. So, yeah, just for anybody on the line and the folks in the room here, where the dirt is being moved now is referred to as the Lefroy GLN property. And you can see on that very far right drawing is the entranceway off from 96 into their property. And that road goes behind the 4 lots that they're building now, and eventually hooks up with Mercer Boulevard where Farmington Gardens apartments are. And then this project will have access to that area. So the main entrance currently at Route 96 will be a right in and right out. You will not be able to turn left out of that exit. You have to go up to Retency Road to the signal light. Or you have to go out to Mercer Boulevard. And as everything gets built up south and north of this area, that is also a designated signal area that the DOT has agreed with the town for our future signal. So, Board, any questions?
I just, the only thing I was looking at, the thing that got sent over to us today, you had mentioned the lighting and the sidewalks are kind of part of the overlay district, but they're still shown on this as amenities granted. And
That's offsite.
There's
There's both on-site and off-site. The on-site ones aren't considered amenities.
so where are the offsite then?
Wherever we want to put them.
Wherever the town wants to put them along the corridor, 96. I can work against that where it is.
It's a dollar amount, not a number of lights quantity.
That was my only question.
Good question. Anyone else?
When this was first proposed, I know there was some discussion about the entrance off of Hortensia and like how close it was to the intersection. Is that they're not going to be a problem there with the design or like traffic study or anything like that?
We had gone through the traffic study, we had submitted that, there had been some dialogue back and forth, but there was adequate stacking. Now that you've actually got a little bit more stacking with this configuration than proposed when we had the entrance on our. As you look at it, the dark gray aisleway, moves south to the connection point for Lefroy, where the roadway in Lefroy is. They're approximately 300 feet off of State Route 96. We were a little bit closer. And we had gone back and forth with the town engineer and some dialogue relative to that spacing when it had been referred, previously to the summit. So we didn't anticipate then, and we still don't from a traffic standpoint any issue with the stacking distance that there has been dialogue relative to it in the past. I'm sure that as it advances, if any of the SRF associates did look at, and when we were talking with DOT relative to them moving the intersection to the Lefroy property, the trip gens and all that stuff were updated. DOT looked at all that because there was a meeting with Lefroy's folks, our folks, and state DOT when there was any discussion even moving the planned signalized intersection off of this parcel to the Lefroy property. That was all looked at.
Good. All right. Thanks, Mike. appreciate it. We do have a resolution tonight that will move this project to the planning board, and they'll take a couple of meetings to review it and provide feedback to the town board. Anybody else tonight for privilege of the floor or public concerns? Sure.
Especially talking for this presentation.
Thanks, Dave. Anybody online for public concerns or privilege of the floor? Okay, reports of standing committees.
Yep, we met this morning in this room. I'll start with Highway and Parks. Highway has been obviously doing equipment maintenance, been out salting and plowing roads. They've been working on plowing and sweeping on the sidewalks. They've been out repairing mailboxes that accidentally got knocked over by the heavy snow. The salt magic has been ordered, and they've been mixing some of the magic with some of the to treat the salt. The parks are doing building and parks maintenance. They're also out plowing the parking lots and doing the sidewalks, building maintenance and repairs. SDS work is in progress. The 2021 report that has been sent out, and they're working on a playground on Beaver Creek Park. Water and sewer. Everyday sampling has been going on in maintenance, sludge hauling. They've been at lots of sludge hauling lately. We got 4 loads out last week, right? Or 4 loads today, one day. Their dewater and digester 1 getting ready for the clean out there. They're working on the inventory, so we're getting ready to order parts for next year or for this year. They received a quote for the work on the UV unit. We discussed that quite a little in detail this morning. They've been snow plowing snow and removing snow at the treatment plant. Bidding of water main replacement at the intersection of 332 and 96. Is that next week, Peter?
It's coming up. Yep.
Yeah. And they're waiting for Christner Concrete to build the manhole for the other part of Collett Road sewer repair that needs to be done. They're working on replacing fire hydrants so that they can sandblast and paint them, doing them off and on. They're working on the preliminary drawings for 332 water main replacement. They got together with Dave Herman on that with MRB. They had 2 water main leaks, one on County Road 8, one on County Road 41, and I also had one on Heather Lane. They got a heater in the belt press room that they've got to repair. And that's it.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Coming up.
Town announcement this morning, we got 3 resolutions tonight. We also have the draft of the local law amending chapter 165 of the town code that's dealing with special permits, and that will be reviewed in the next 2 weeks, and then after the time referring it to the entire county planning board, and the public hearing will be scheduled for March 22nd. There's no movement yet on the Delaware River Solar on providing a letter of credit for scheduling a pre-construction meeting, so that's still where it is. February 10th of this year ends the moratorium on the large-scale ground-mounted solar systems, and the town awaits receipt of the filings from the local law with the Secretary of State, which provides additional guidance for future large-scale ground-mounted solar applications. The rest of the town report is on the town's website. That's about it.
Thanks, Mike.
And Dan will go over some of the numbers on permits and anything that he gave us.
Reports of other town officials, supervisor. Last night I attended the town of Canandaigua, very short meeting. Unfortunately, they voted to table the 202B resolution they had in front of them that would have moved forward the Brickyard Road tank and water transmission line project, and it would have moved the funding forward. And very dissatisfied with the town board on that decision. Assessor interviews, we had 30 applicants. Hopefully next week, if not the week after, there'll be 6 to 7 that us and the town of Canandaigua will interview. We're looking to share an assessor. Today at the county, I had the Ontario County Economic Development Committee meeting, besides our meeting here in the morning. Tomorrow I have Ways and Means Committee at the county. Thursday, I have the 219th Investigation Committee, and maybe chairing that. The chairman may be out of town. Next week at the county is the Board of Supervisors meeting. I've also handled last week and early this week, handled a few resident complaints, and I believe our auditors come back in next week for the second time, and they bugged Janine, our principal account clerk, more than they bugged me. So, that's all I have. Highway and Parks.
We got that Techco crosswalk sign updated, the firmware put in that today, so that's all set. Couple of the 2 other trucks, the new truck and the town hall truck got lettered today. And then I was up in Beaver Creek. I see they should have had that playground completed by the end of the week.
I saw in the dark that they did a lot today. So
They did. So, but he said probably, they're hoping to be done by the end of the week. And I did forget to mention that Canandaigua has an advocacy meeting down there at their highway garage on Thursday that I will be attending.
that's what can mean.
Advocacy meeting?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I did notice a lot of progress on the Beaver Creek Park playground, so I have to try and get over there and take another picture.
I saw, I don't know who put the picture up today, but they got quite a bit more done than what that picture shows.
Yeah, that's last week's picture. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think they got that far.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Town clerk?
Nothing.
Nothing to the town clerk. Water and sewer is not here tonight. Building and zoning.
All right, as Mike said, I will report on the permit numbers, and my staff hates when I say this, but we actually had a slow month in January, and I think it had to do a lot with the weather, but every time I say that, it seems to really bite us in the rear later, so.
You know what happened to the fire chief?
I know. So, but with that being said, January, we got 30 building permits, 136 inspections, 9 fire inspections, 11 stormwater inspections, and 22 zoning inspections. This time of the year, as always, we're doing a lot of the year-end reports. I did submit to the state beginning of this week, the 1203 report that I do every year. And we have acknowledgement already back, and it should have been in correspondence. If it's not in this one, it will be in the next one. That it has been accepted by the state. So just because we're low on permits doesn't mean that we're not doing other things, that's for sure. So lots still going on.
Great. All right, thanks. Planning board.
Sure, our next meeting on February 16th, the M3 Enterprises final site plan. Then we'll get into there's a 2-lot subdivision, preliminary 2-lot subdivision for Caps on Hook Road. We'll look at that, and then Tamara's looking to expand their parking, and we'll look at some of that as a preliminary site plan approval. And then, depending on how much time we have left, we'll look at the NPOD and MSOD that we're reviewing to get some feedback on those 2. That's pretty much it. It's on the agenda.
All right, thank you. Ron, Director of Development Planning.
Okay, well, first of all, I learned this afternoon from Doug Beats, member of the town planning board, also works for Wegmans, that Syracuse University has decided to provide interns to us. Don't get excited, it's not Buddy Bayon. Okay. To take a look at and study the plans to the west of the town hall park and properties here. Plans town owns as potential concepts for development of parkland and additional park department use. And we'll be keeping you up to date on that as it unfolds. It's quite a nice honor, and I thank Wegmans for allowing that to happen. There will be a local law introduced at the next town board meeting. The local law is to create criteria for special use permits or allowing agricultural and construction equipment repairs and painting. We've had a temporary use permit now for the past 7 years. It's proven to be very effective, very beneficial to the farming community. And now it's time for us to create the criteria for a special use permit. Thanks to Dan and his staff for helping on creating that. And we look forward to that moving through the process for the public hearing at the second meeting in March. To my knowledge, we haven't received any word yet from the Secretary of State on the 2 local laws that we acted on at the last planning board meeting. If we don't hear the moratorium on solar large-scale ground mount systems expires on February 10th. So we'll see what happens when the gates open and what we get. And then this week, we were asked by the Genesee Transportation Council to send letters to our congressional leaders in Washington on the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act, which has been promised by the Biden administration, but has kind of got bogged down in the swamp, if you will. And that letter was sent out to various leaders of various committees, both at the Senate and the House of Representatives. So hopefully that'll get moving along. It could affect the sidewalk grant application, which is due announcements this week or this month. And we're waiting to see, if Congress on the 17th of February will indeed take action to adopt that. That's it.
Yeah, so the reason that I sent that letter is Genesee Transportation Council sent that to the counties, and the counties sent it out to the towns. What's happened is that the federal government is still under, they haven't passed the budget yet. So they're restricted by only spending the amount of funds in each of the departments that was allocated in the previous budget. There's, I forget how many millions, but hundreds of millions of dollars held up in the infrastructure budget until they pass the federal budget and get it through the process. So if they ever pass, yeah,
That M is replaced with a B though.
billions.
Billions.
Yeah, I was talking about millions for New York State, but it's billions in the country.
Still only 10% of the whole bill.
And the only other thing, Peter, just the town ops report has been posted and distributed today.
Thanks, Ron. Town engineer, Bill.
Yep, a few updates, Route 96 and 332 water main replacement project is out to bid. We've taken bids on February 17th at 10 a.m. The digester cleaning project, the contractor did get back to us, identifying they would be ready to start that in mid-March. And we've been working on the Wagon Road pump station. We had a meeting today for the pump station in Victor regarding the rehab of that. So Few minor items, Pete, you started to touch on the Brickyard Road tank, for the Canandaigua Farmington Water District. And I just want to make a couple notifications for public record. On behalf of the district, we did take bids on December 14th. We've been working with both towns on getting 202B resolution passed. Farmington has completed that process. Canandaigua has not. They tabled the resolution. There was an anticipation that the bond resolution would be complete by the town of Farmington this evening, thereby putting us on schedule to be able to award the contracts to the bidders that we have at hand. With the estoppel period and the duration of the bond resolution, we had asked the contractors for an extension to March 14th to get through the process. They have all agreed. And that puts a decision-making deadline around February 14th. If we do not hear from Canandaigua by that time, we will most likely forfeit those bids and have to rebid the project or take some other course of action. So I just wanted to state that for public record. And the other issue at hand is the grant, $3.6 million. That's been on the table for the project. That deadline for completion based on the agreement is December of 2024. With a 12 to 18 month construction, we would want to be kicking the project off around this time. So not much the town of Farmington can do at this time, but it's important that the district users understand that's where we sit right now.
So if you had to rebid that project, do you think it'd come back higher or lower this time?
Well, we've contemplated that a bit, quite a bit, with everything that's going on with COVID and price escalations. We did a lot of research. When we took bids, with our immediate reaction being, hey, let's rebid the project. But with all the feedback that we've received to date, from both the contractors, the suppliers, the tank manufacturers, it doesn't look like it's going to come in cheaper anytime soon. So our I guess anticipation would be that a rebid would most likely end up in escalated costs. So especially the longer you wait, I mean, nothing typically goes down. So
Not to mention the fact that the numbers are now out there.
yeah, the bidders too will have reservation, most likely coming back to the table, you know, being that they put a lot of effort into this bid the first time around.
And the other thing is, over the last couple of years, with all the design, legal work, and the paperwork and everything that had to be processed for the Department of Health approvals, we've already spent over $500,000 on this project of Canandaigua and Farmington residents' money that's in the Canandaigua Farmington Water District. And the current breakout of that is approximately 80% Farmington residents and business and 20% Canandaigua residents and businesses. So that's why I mentioned earlier tonight, I was disappointed that they weren't moving forward with the process, and that ultimately it will cost more money for a rebid. Thanks, Bill. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, we have no assessor, obviously. Recreation, I will mention, Mark Kane came in today and wanted to know if maybe we could do a couple of music in the parks events this year. Had a couple of different bands. So I told him, yeah, go ahead and kick that around in the Recreation Advisory Committee and come back to the town board. So, no, I mean, he's originally talking this site here. Only because we had bands here before for July 3rd. But Beaver Park would be a great place too. We'd probably end up packing the parking lots, and even with everybody walking from Albert Meadows, everybody else would show up and pack the parking lots. I don't know. All right, thank you. Communications are on file. Reports and minutes are on file. There's a lot of them there. First resolution. is a resolution of appreciation for the recognition of our highway parks former superintendent, Don Drew. And normally the way we do this is, we all do a all move and we all do a second. All. Whereas Don Drew has worked with the town of Farmington for 29 years, and 7 of those years as the highway park superintendent. Whereas Don Drew has decided to retire from his elected position January 31st, 2022. And whereas Don Drew has rendered exemplary service to the residents of the town of Farmington, ensuring safety of our roads throughout the year, especially during the winter months. Now therefore we resolve the town of Farmington hereby expresses its appreciation and sincere gratitude for Don's service to the town, its residents, to maintain high standards of his employees, the appearance of our parks, and safety and maintenance of our roads. And be it further resolved that Don Drew receives recognition through this resolution. And be it finally resolved that the town board directs the town clerk to forward a certified copy of this resolution to Don Drew as a token of our appreciation. Don, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'll sign this. There's all our signatures. All in favor? Aye. Yes, I'm very smart.
Yeah, and one try. Want to sign this?
Number 2 is a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign a proposal for professional services from MRB Group for grant writing services for the local government records management improvement fund application.
Second.
Motion is second. This will be our second in the last couple of years applications. We're going to finish up the building department and then look at doing some records scanning in water and sewer. All in favor? Aye. Three is a resolution authorizing a letter of credit partial release number 7, Redfield Grove subdivision, phase 2, in the amount of $226,034.03.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. 4 is a resolution authorizing the waiving of retention lodge fees for Cobblestone Arts Center. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
5 is a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign an employee assistant program agreement with associates in employee assistance.
So moved. Second.
Motion second. And again, this is the same firm we had the last few years. All in favor? Aye. 6 is a resolution authorizing the change in retiree health insurance from MVP to Aetna.
Second.
Okay, so we have used MVP for our retirees for many years. Brown and Brown approached us on a new consortium rated plan for our retirees. It saves the town about $3,500 a month. Majority of the retirees get full coverage on the insurance anyways. And the plan for Aetna is broader. If you're traveling out of the MVP zone, the plan has broader coverage across the United States. So I hopefully our retirees will accept the change.
Similar.
Yeah, almost everything.
It's good that it covers up the state stuff.
Right.
People moving around, it's a good thing.
Right, so, change is tough for everybody, but hopefully, they'll accept this. Got a motion second, all in favor? Aye. Seven is a confirming resolution authorizing the hire of a full-time account clerk typist for the water and sewer department at the rate of $19 an hour.
So moved.
Second.
Motion a second. That's Jennifer leaving town clerk's office and going over to help us with water and sewer. All in favor? Aye. Eight's a confirming resolution acknowledging the appointment of Sarah Cernelia as first deputy town clerk and add a $1 wage increase to $17.96 per hour, and also authorize the hiring of a new deputy town clerk at the rate of $16.50 per hour.
So moved.
Motion a second. All in favor? Aye. Nine is a resolution authorizing acceptance of the supervisor's monthly report for January 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
10 is a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign a proposal for professional services from MRV Group for the North Road Water Main Replacement Project, phases 4 and 5.
I'd actually like to have that table. Please.
And a request to table it for an indefinite period of time.
Yes.
Any objections? No. All right, motion tabled. Number 11, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign a proposal for professional services from MRV Group for the highway department improvements at Klein and Brownsville roads.
So moved.
Second.
Motion the second. This is a project we started looking at in 2015 with other projects in the town, and we're going to finish the engineering for this and put it in next year's budget. All in favor? Aye. Draws a resolution requesting a report and recommendation from the town planning board regarding a petition to rezone 3 parcels of lands, tax map numbers 290139, 290140, 290141.1, which comprises 18.3 acres of land from GB General Business to the Center of Zoning, IZ, for the development of the Farmington Market Center and Center Zoning project, which we heard about tonight.
So moved. Second.
Motion in the second. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Wait, you're all set. That'll be moving to the planning board. Thank you. 13 is a resolution to recall and amend resolution 85/2022 and authorizing the highway park superintendent to purchase lumber from Matthews and Fields for playground and swing set borders at the Beaver Creek Park at a cost not to exceed $7,200.
So moved.
Second.
So we're recalling, we're amending this because the prices went up from the last meeting to the point where we had to go out and get a new quote, and it ended up being a different vendor. And I told them to go ahead and order it as soon as this meeting's over with. All in favor? Aye. 14 is a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign an intermunicipal agreement with Ontario County for assessment services. Motion second. We had this as a public hearing. We had this waiting period has passed. It'll be on the current cycle for the board of supervisors to approve this agreement to work with us on our assessment services for 2022. All in favor? Aye. 15 is abstract number 3 of 2022 to pay the bills. General fund, $39,266.04. Highway fund, $68,565.95. Storm drainage, $11,875.37. Sewer district, $55,631.10. Water district, $5,828.27. Payroll deductions, $51.26, for a total abstract, $181,217.99. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any abstentions? All in favor? Aye. We have no training under $100. We have no executive session. Is there any other items for discussion at this time? Any objections to waiver of the rule for 3 resolutions? Hearing none. Waiver rule number 1, supplemental bond resolution dated February 8, 2022, authorizing general obligation bonds of the town of Farmington to finance water system capital improvements, authorizing the issuance of bond anticipation notes in contemplation thereof, expenditures of sum for such a purpose and determining other matters in connection herewith. So
What do we want to do with this?
this pertains to the Brickyard Road water project. Yes, it does.
I move the table this one definitely, while we also gather more information as other boards felt the need to do.
Okay. So you're all here.
No, I'm gonna withdraw my movement.
Thank you. All right, so we will take this one also for an indefinite period of time. Number 2 is a resolution declaring miscellaneous equipment from the town supervisor's office and highway department as surplus, so we dispose of it at auction or discard. APC backups and some printers that died. All in favor? Aye. 3 is a resolution authorizing changes to the highway appointments for 2022.
Second.
Motion is second. So with Don Drew retiring, highway deputy, the highway deputy, according to town law, automatically acts as the highway superintendent until the election period is over with. And then he is asked to appoint team leader Lauren LaPlante as the second deputy of the highway superintendent, leaving the team leader position vacant. And Mr. Wallach will then serve as the team leader in the highway department. We have a motion second. Any other comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Anything else we brought to this board tonight? One more time. Anything that we brought to this board tonight? Motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, everybody. Drive safe.